meditations of our hearts be truly acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. The main message about God is a very strange combination of things. The way God is with people, the way His history is with people, especially with His first people, the Israelites. On one hand, there is this amazing glow in the dark, clouds by day, this bright, shining thing that went before them and then went behind them between the Egyptians and the Israelites as they walked into the sea on dry land, and then into the desert to be part of this glorious enterprise, a banquet of heavenly things. What did they eat? What is it? That's what manna means, the word, what is it? Probably didn't taste very important. Oh, can't you at least give us a steak? Just quite a story, really. The combination of glory and poverty, maybe holy poverty. This is the story of God with us too. And we get the story again and again. And so in the Gospel of Matthew, we have those descendants of the Israelites complaining, we've been here all this time. We've read our Torah. We've kept the feast. We've kept the faith, even in exile. And you are going to take Mike Schaefer and pay him first? By the way, I'm really grateful that you do pay me. Oh, thank you. And by the hand of a wonderful treasurer indeed. And what do you pay? What do we pay? Well, daily bread. That's what we work for. Give us today our daily bread. And we are descendants of the Israelites after all. If we'll just see ourselves that way. What a wonderful way to see ourselves. Now, some of you are retired like me. And you know what it might mean in a special way to work for God. I mean, we don't work for anyone else anymore, do we? So, what a wonderful privilege. Because we do need to work. Did you get the poignancy of these people who have been standing around all day at the bus stop, wishing they were hired? We do need to work. And we do very much need to work. Jesus, in fact, himself said, my food is to do the will of my Father in heaven. That's part of being human. We have something to do. There's something bigger than ourselves. And we retired folk know what it might mean to work exclusively for God. And we get paid by God. Well, maybe through a 401k or something like that. But if we see ourselves as being paid at the hand of God, Or maybe even see ourselves as always as having been paid at the hand of God. Whatever the terms, whatever the business, whatever the vocation, then we understand what God is trying to tell us in these stories. Well, it's a good thing. It's a privilege. And would that others know the joy of this secret. God pays us what we need every day if we just see it that way. And others need to know it too. No, I don't think it's some sort of grisly kind of socialism, because God uses capitalism and socialism in any other form. But people of God understand it this way. And we work in, what's this? Yes. In the vineyard, in the field, in the kingdom of God. Very much hidden, isn't it? This kingdom of God, where God rules. Not so hidden to us, because God does rule us. And we, when we're not ruled by God, we come back to being ruled by God because we're Christians. We're faithful people. But yes, it is that it is hidden. We don't know what God is doing right now in a confused time like ours. There are times when it becomes very evident that God is doing things. Now, it's a strange, strange work that God is doing. And yet, when it all shakes out, we'll discover that certainly God knew what God was doing. We don't have to know, do we? We don't have the perspective. What do we have to go through to get back to what we need to be as a country? What do we have to go through to come back to what we need to be as a people? We've gone astray in certain ways. God is working behind the scenes, His hidden kingdom. We must trust that. And then we need to keep working. And we will get paid. I tell you, I've always been paid very well. Do you know that I was the rector of St. John's Parish in Lewisboro? And I was paid $3,600 a year. And I got money. However I could get money. This has been my story all along. I was the vicar of Trinity Church Waterville. They paid me much too much. They didn't have money. They paid me $10,000. And I found a job. It's been a wonderful journey. It has been. I love it. So if you're privileged to be a clergyman, you understand these stories in a certain way. You know what God pays you. And God continues to pay. You pay me too much. Really. Why would we pay someone to do what they love to do? What they need to do? But it certainly helps. It's marvelous. And a chicken dinner to boot. We should be thinking this way. I should continue to think this way. And we should continue to travel along and watch what God does. And we may even get to see some of it before we graduate.